Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. We are here to recap NXT Roadblock, which took place on March 11th, 2025 at Madison Square Garden. We kicked things off with Braxium versus the Hardy Boys for the TNA Tag Team Championships. Main takeaways here for me were that Hardy Boys can still go. I was worried because I haven't seen them in quite some time. Anytime they're outside of WWE, essentially, haven't really kept up with them. But you know, for as long as they've been doing it, and their current age, I didn't see any signs of ring rust at all. In terms of just their age and not being able to do what they could once do. I'm sure Fraxian being in the ring with them obviously helps that. Incredibly athletic as the Hardy Boys are and have been, Fraxium certainly can hold their own. One takeaway here, outside of the Hardy Boys winning, I felt like I was surprised that the Hardy Boys actually did win. For some reason, I had in my head that I thought Fraxium could do something with both titles, and that would be kind of a passing of the torch for the Hardy Boys, and because before their promo and was basically all about find out who the best today is. And so I felt like that would have been a good opportunity for them to pass that off to Fraxium. But perhaps that would have been resolved had this been for the NXT Tag Team Championships, and that way they wouldn't have to take a title from them. So curious to hear your thoughts on that one. And then but before we get to the Roxanne Perez and Jordynnegrace match, we had a couple of backstage segments, one being Jada Parker with the Hall of Famer Mickie James. Essentially, this was a quick back and forth, Mickie stating that she believes that Jada has what it takes to be on the top, and that it's standing to deliver season, so now would be the time to take hers. Not too much to take away from that, I don't think, other than the fact that she's getting a nod from a Hall of Famer, so that certainly can't hurt Jada Parker's current stock. I agree with Mickie James. I think she does have an unlimited potential here. So I'm curious to see where Jada takes this over the next month or so. And then after that, we have another backstage segment with the family, particularly the underboss, trying to appears to maybe step up in his role a little bit. Perhaps teasing at some more internal issues with the family, but the main takeaway being that the underboss set up a 6-man and woman tag match for next week with Sean Spears' new faction that we'll talk a little bit about here in a while. Then we have the match between Roxanne Perez and Jordynnegrace. And as I both kind of thought would happen here, Jordynnegrace did get the win here. And I know we've said it time and time again, but I do actually feel like this is Roxanne's this will be Roxanne's last match, I would assume. And I feel more confident in that now, but I felt confident in the last few times saying that as well. As for the match, I thought it was a pretty good back and forth. Jordan getting the slide edge, I think, as she should. And Roxy maybe essentially passing the torch is kind of what I felt like would happen with the tag match. And my only complaint here is I feel like Jordan would be better served as a heel. I feel like imagine if she was basically putting over Roxy or taking out Roxy from NXT, kayfabe, what have you. But to take off what has been a mainstay and a huge part of NXT for a while now, I think that would have been a great way to kick off Jordan's NXT run in WWE. So, but with that being said, let's let WWE work their magic and see what they can do with her as a face. And then we have Oba versus Moose for the NXT Championship. And now, the way they put this in the card, I thought surely we're not going to have another TNA member win because of the first match. So that did turn out to be the case, and that did hold true with Oba getting the win. Before the match, however, Oba runs into The Undertaker and basically says, defend your yard. Getting another nod from a Hall of Famer can never hurt someone's stock. And Oba, who obviously has as much potential and as much momentum as anyone in NXT at the moment. With that, this was a very good back and forth as well. In regards to not sounding redundant, this was the definition of just meat, as Booker T would say, a little more emphatically. But yeah, this was a great back and forth, and I don't feel like either of these men come out looking worse for wear. And I think Oba winning here was the right choice. But yeah, I think that's all I had for that. KP, what were your thoughts on the 3 matches here? And if you have anything to add on the backstage segments as well, feel free to address those.
Yeah, I think we'll go through the matches then for just my sort of like take on them. I think the opening contest with the Hardys and Fraxium, I sort of kept going back and forth here as to like whether I wanted Fraxium to win, whether I wanted the Hardys to win, making logical sense of like, the winners will obviously be the TNA World Tag Team Champions. And I just I kept going back and forth. Like, you know what, Fraxium winning would be amazing. Would be really, really cool. But I think on the other side of it, I think with the Hardys taking the win here, I don't really think it does anything for Fraxium. Like, as good as they are, as impressive they've been, losing to Matt and Jeff is not something that I think is really going to sort of like be a problem for them. So I think they're just going to bounce back and it's going to continue to, just to never slow down, I guess, really. That's the motto, isn't it, I suppose, for Fraser especially. But yeah, I think this probably was the right call. Like, I don't think they really needed to have an NXT team take the TNA tag titles. But I think if this was like maybe if this was reversed, maybe if this was for the NXT Tag Team Championships, then obviously Fraxium winning would have been great for them. Beating the Hardys, would have been like you said, a great passing of the torch moment. But yeah, I think it doesn't really hurt them or like do them any bad stock. So I think they'll be fine from this one. Like, I think it's okay. And it, like you said, I was impressed by the Hardys here. I thought they did a great job. I've not really seen them compete, properly in a while, because obviously I'm sort of like similar to you, don't really watch an awful lot outside of the WWE because unfortunately don't have the time to do so. But being able to see these guys go at it again, it just put a smile on my face. It was great to watch, and yeah, maybe running back the clock a little bit, I don't know, perhaps, but it was a good time, and I enjoyed this match between both teams. It wasn't like one of Fraxium's best matches, I'll put it that way, but it was still a fun watch, and yeah, I think ultimately it probably was the right call. But I would have loved to have seen it go the other way. That would have been very, very fascinating. The backstage stuff, I think my main sort of take to sort of like just go off of what you've already said and not really repeat too much is at least we have a faction name now for Sean Spears' gang. They're called the Culling. I know we've been wanting them to have a faction name for a while now. They finally got it done. They are known as the Culling. So that's my main take from that. Excited to see where they go from here. And yeah, the Culling, yeah, whatever happens with them, looks good to me. They've got the NXT North America Championship. See what else comes along their way. But then we've got Jordynnegrace and Roxanne Perez. And like I said, I really hope this is Roxy's last match. I think she's done everything she can in NXT. She's accomplished all she needed to. And she's got nothing left to really achieve here. So to see her, take a loss to Jordynnegrace, put her over, I think is going to start off, like you said, Jordan's, run and rise up the roster. And it'll probably be very soon that she'll be competing in, main title matches, I would imagine. So, yeah, happy for Jordan. Big win for her. And hopefully we get Roxy on main roster now. That would be the ideal situation here. And then Moose and Obafemi. Wow, what a hard hitting contest this was. It was brutal, wasn't it? Back and forth, heavy hitting. These guys absolutely went for it, and in the end, obviously, Obafemi, still your NXT champion. No real surprises here. I think, with Moose becoming the NXT champion, that would have been quite the shocker. So yeah, I think this was pretty much expected. But wow, what a match it was, right? We had a announce table, Oba going through that. Oba had to really sort of like clutch here. He had to really fight back from a few very, very impressive spells from Moose in this one. Obviously, Oba, likewise, he dished out his fair share of heavy hitting offense. It just was a really good match. As Big E might say, big meaty man smacking meat. It was a terrific encounter from two massive men, and it was very meteoric. It was a battle of the giants, and Obafemi coming on out. I think he's going to have a good run with the NXT title. I'm really impressed. I'm really looking forward to see what happens going forward for him. Dispatching someone like Moose the way he did. The sky's the limit for this guy. He's absolutely unbelievable. But yeah, I don't really have too much to add other than that. But I think so far the match, they've been great, right?
Yeah, certainly a great way to kick off NXT with the tag match, and then outside of that match, I feel like the right person winning each match up until then. And yeah, the cunning named team, or excuse me, the culling doesn't exactly roll off the tongue in my opinion. But beggars can't be choosers. We at least have a name, so we'll see where that goes. Then we carry forward through the night. Before getting into the next match, we had a couple of backstage segments. We had a hype package for Eddie Thorpe and Trick Williams. They are going to be competing in an underground match next week. And then we also get another Sol Ruca Zarya segment. Last time we saw a similar segment to this, Zarya was trying things. So Ruka deemed to be helpful, and this time the roles are reversed, and so Ruka's trying more. The word hardcore maybe comes to mind that Zarya enjoys. So it's nice to see them attempting to gel just even a little bit more. Then we also see Fatal Influence backstage with Ava, particularly Fallon Henley asking where her rematch for the NXT North American Championship is, interrupted by Ricky Saints and told he doesn't belong here yet again. Ricky not taking too well to this, asked for a match up against Ridge Holland to prove that he does belong. So we'll see that next week as well. But on to the match, Ethan Page and Javon Evans, the next match in this what's turned out to be quite the rivalry. This match was pretty incredible. I'd argue to say, probably in my opinion, I think this was the best match of the night. Again, I don't know if it's just the chemistry these two have or what, but I believe when their last match in Vengeance Day, I believe I dubbed that one the best match as well. And I don't think this one was just quite as good in terms of storytelling. But in terms of spots and the things that they did to each other, I had no idea how it was going to end because it felt like it should have ended many, many times before that. But yeah, this was an incredible match. And Javon finally getting the win here, which I think was very much needed. Curious to see where they take this rivalry from here. And another takeaway from this match being after the match, we see those four masked figures emerge once again, this time from the crowd. They come down and take care of Javon Evans quite easily, as if he weren't down enough after that grueling match. Having to deal with those four was never going to work out well for him. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like we hadn't seen him in a couple weeks. If we had, it'd been very, very short and not very noteworthy. Attacking Javon, I guess I don't really know what kind of statement that brings along. Anyone could have done that. 4-over-1, just in general. But then after the match that he just had, what kind of statement does that really make? So yeah, I'll wait. Like the name for Sean Spears' group. I'll continue to wait and see what they do. But then, yeah, as you mentioned, after this match, we have the Sean Spears announcing that last week they took the family's gold, and next week they'll take the heart, and we see the calling name finally put up there. That particular rivalry has been pretty interesting to me as well. I don't know if they are going to be the downfall of the family, but I think we can certainly probably draw that through Stand and Deliver here in a month or so. And with that, we finally hit the main event. Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, winner takes all, aka title for title. This one's been looking forward to by many for quite some time. I think it came a little earlier than a lot of us thought it would. But with that being said, Stephanie Vaquer does get the win here. in what was a very technically sound match. You could tell these two know each other very well, and the crowd was very hot for this as well. I think even at one point in there, chanting Booker T for his commentating on the move that Stephanie Vaquer does, that we all are familiar with. Um, yeah, my one complaint for this match is it did feel a bit rushed. I don't know if that's because of the high expectations I think I, as well as I'm sure most had, maybe took a bit away from it. There's also a rumor running around, and again, as I mentioned before, I don't hunt for these, but if they come across and I see them, and that rumor is that Julia has an injury of some sort. If that is the case, that would make sense. A, why they rushed to get to this match, to take a title off of her, and B, why it was kind of rushed, or at least in my opinion, felt a bit rushed in terms of what it could have been. Considering the time and place that this took place, and how monumental this is to have a woman in NXT with both titles on top of what is an absolutely stacked division. So with all that, I will pass you back over to KP. KP, what are your thoughts on these two matches here, and seeing the masked figures once again? What are your takes on all of this?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of very, very compelling matches here, to be fair. I think when it comes to Javon Evans and Ethan Page, we knew this one was going to be barbaric. Obviously, they've had such a build that would only really result in a match like this taking place. And I think the street fight was just tremendous. Some very, very impressive spots throughout. We had, broken tables. We had weapons being used all over the place, as a street fight should be. So I know I'm describing basically all street fights there, but this one was, it was hard hitting, and it needs to be. It was a very, very personal feud. Ethan Page losing to Javon Evans here, I don't think this does him any harm whatsoever, because I think, at the end of the day, we probably all would have thought that Javon Evans would have won a match in this feud by now. But it's been very much Ethan Page dominating up until this point. I think it's fair that Javon comes out on top, ultimately, probably in the end here. But then, yeah, obviously after the matchup, those four guys attacking once again, we haven't really seen much of them, have we? We've seen them. This is the third time they've attacked. They did it twice before and in the same night, and then obviously done it once here at Roadblock. They're basically showing up on the big shows. They've obviously done some backstage bits like during NXT shows. We haven't actually seen anything happen, in those moments. We just sort of like seen the wreckage afterwards, and they've been off on their way, sort of thing. So, yeah, minimal exposure from the guys so far. Interested to see where this is going. At the moment, I'm basically just branding them a gang of thugs. Until we obviously know a bit more about them. But so far, they've attacked who? They've attacked Axiom and Nathan Fraser. They've attacked Javon Evans, obviously this time. They've attacked Obafemi, and they've attacked a couple of like extras backstage, whatnot. So it's an interesting group of people. They're not attacking the same person time and time again. So it's like they're sort of like spreading their intentions here. I don't know what that exactly means, but yeah, they've attacked a big tag team, the tag team champs. They've attacked the NXT champion. They've attacked the young OG. I don't know. I'm struggling to find a link there. There probably is going to be something explained going forward, but I am interested. Yeah, I'm sort of like, they've got my attention for sure, but I just want to see a little bit more. Maybe that's my impatience coming out there, but yeah, I don't know. They've definitely caught me getting interested for sure. That main event though, Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, title versus title. Wow, it was a big moment. We've only ever had one woman as a double champion in NXT history. That was Mandy Rose with the NXT UK title and the NXT Championship. So Stephanie Vaquer becoming the second woman to ever do that is quite the impressive feat. This match was always going to be a great one, right? Julia and Steph, two absolutely tremendous women on top of their games right now. I think going into this one, I probably would have expected Julia to have won, but then off the back of it, apparently Julia being injured, like you said, and I've seen the reports as well online. I guess it does make a bit more sense that Stephanie Vaquer did win this one. I feel bad for Julia though. Her title reign is quite a short one in comparison to what I think it could have been. But yeah, I mean, it propels Stephanie to absolute stardom. women's North American champion plus the women's NXT championship. She's got a lot of gold now, so she might have to do the the heavy lifting here when it comes to defending the championships. Maybe go double duty perhaps at some point. Who down the line? Who knows? Stand and Deliver is coming up. You probably want all titles on the line or as many as possible. So yeah, interesting to see how they play this one out. But a double champion in NXT is quite interesting. It doesn't happen too often, but I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do with it. If anybody can do a good job, it's Stephanie Vaquer. She's so unbelievably talented. The match was great between the two women, and yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say about this. It was just a brilliant main event, and really, really enjoyed it. Good way to cap off the show as well. Obviously, I'm glad they had this as the main event. I think it was the biggest match on the card, and I'm glad they perceived it to be main event worthy. NXT seems to do a good job of that, and they they've done a good job of it here today as well. In terms of the show itself, Roadblock, I was absolutely invested from start to finish. Thought all the matches were very, very good in their own rights. I give this one a 9 out of 10. I think, maybe a couple of little things perhaps that maybe I'm just a little bit too impatient to like enjoy as much as I probably could do. Actually, you know what? 9.5 out of 10. I've raised it. I've raised it up to 9.5. But yeah, I think just across the board, it was a solid show. Really, really good fun to watch. And I mean, Stephanie Vaquer. Wow, I literally can't stop but just show the admiration for her. She's brilliant, isn't she?
Yeah, I hope that if the Julia rumors are true, that they are very minimal in nature. But I guess not, probably not if they deemed it worthy enough to take a title off of them. But regardless, we got a good match out of it, so we'll see where that goes. And then I feel like the elephant in the room, and just the way I think is, how long is Stephanie going to hold these titles for? Preventing someone else from grabbing them. But I would think, she's going to have perform double duty at some point. And so it'll be interesting to see how they proceed with that, and how they get the titles off of, or at least one of those titles off of her. I would assume the NXT North American title would probably be the case. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a great NXT. Obviously, it titled Roadblock, setting up like a PLE for a reason. The absolutely stacked card. A couple of decisions I don't know if I completely agree with, but overall the matches and the segments were incredible. I give this one a 9 out of 10. And then setting up a bunch of matches for next week already. NXT with Eddie Thorpe and Trick Williams in the Underground match, and the Family versus the Culling. Ricky Saints versus Riz Holland, and then Sol Ruca, because she pinned Chelsea Green in that tag match. She gets an opportunity for a U.S. title from Chelsea Green. So yeah, looking forward to that. And this was a great NXT, and looking forward to what else they have to do in the next month before Stand and Deliver. So with that, this has been another episode of The Push. But let us know your thoughts below. How did you enjoy the show, and what are you most looking forward to in this Mania Stand and Deliver season? And with that, we will be back for the SmackDown recap coming this weekend. And until then, this has been The Push with Nick and KP. We'll see you next time.